25 minutes, 40 minutes play, I should say now.
It does look like the sort of pitch where your margin for error in terms of length is pretty small. Anything that's been even slightly full has been driven quite easily, but there is a little bit of something just back of a length. Davis is also going to get a fifth over, 4 overs, none for 15. Shubman Gill pushes into mid-on, and a loud shout of no between Gill and Rohit that there is no run. Bowley doing the fielding at mid-on. Has been a wicket in the minor matter just up the M1 and across the M62 in Headingley. Tom Latham caught by Joe Root at the bowling of Stuart Broad, New Zealand 2 for 1. As Will Davis comes in, those 3 slips await from Shubman Gill, and they might be in business here. The keeper is in fact Rishabh Pant. It's a good delivery from Davis. Gill just not quite sure whether to cut or leave or defend. Sort of did neither. It comes off the top edge through to Rishabh Pant. Simple catch. Will Davis has dismissed Shubman Gill, who looked very good this morning for 21 of 28 deliveries. India 35 for 1. Good ball.
Yep, a little bit of extra bounce. And the despondent Gill has to go. He waited for the decision, but Pant slightly apologetically caught it, really. Probably.
If I must.
Oh, well, OK. 35 for 1.
Yeah, no real decision needed to be made. Umpires Anthony Harris and Russell Warren, your umpires today. Seeing this again on the monitor, it was just a little bit wider than I think Gill would have been wanting to play a defensive shot.
Wasn't a great shot, was it? He could have left it. Should have left it.
It's
really.
The line where
wide, wasn't it?
It's the kind of line where you should either be trying to score runs off it or leave it. Defending a ball that's not going to hit your stumps is a mug's game. A little bit of indiscretion from Shubman Gill. Hanuma Vihari is going to come out at number 3. Has batted there for India. He's kind of batted everywhere for India. He's found himself, despite being a very good player, sort of the spare, the sacrificial, almost a utility batter in this India side. Phenomenal first-class record for Andhra and Hyderabad. He's going to come in at number 3 today, which perhaps indicates that Shreyas Iyer is going to bat number 5 in the Test match, because this is the position that would be filled by Cheteshwar Pujara, one assumes. But Hanuma Vihari had a few games at Warwickshire last season with no real impact, but a very, very good player.
It's been pointed out to us on Twitter by Fahim that Ashwin has actually arrived in Leicester now.
Oh, very good. So he may play some part in this game. So perhaps Rehan and Bowley can get a clinic from Professor Ashwin after all. This is turned nicely by Vihari off the hip. They'll come through for 1. It'll just be 1. Prasidh Krishna, the tall, lanky figure, who's down there at long leg, which perhaps indicates that he's going to come on and replace Bumrah from the Bennett end next over. Vihari off the mark with a single. Ashwin tested positive for COVID-19, but has obviously cleared all those protocols and has flown in. As Davis is in. Rohit slightly discomforted by that. Not quite sure what shot to play at it in the end. Takes one hand off the bat and blocks it into the onside. Still sort of feeling the effects, perhaps, of that blow in the box that he took a couple of overs ago from Jasprit Bumrah. He's never a huge mover of his feet, Rohit Sharma, but just the weight transfer into the shot isn't quite what it might be. But that's why you play these warm-up games, to try and get everything in sync, isn't it? As Davis is in again from the pavilion end. That was a beautiful shot from Rohit Sharma. Not quite as well timed as he might have liked, but off the back foot, a cut shot. It will be just about hauled in by the fielder, racing towards it from backward point. A very, very good effort from the fielder out there. And I think he saved a single there, so just the 3 runs to Rohit Sharma, but nicely guided through backward point. A good chase from Sam Evans.
Yeah, they're a good fielding side, Leicestershire. Fit fielding side. They work hard on their sprinting, and Evans had a chance to show it there. Please, the children. Ball almost crossed the ropes right in front of them. It's the nearest it's been to them, I think, so far this morning.
Last ball of the 10th over. Hanuma Vihari sort of puts bat in line with ball and lets ball hit bat, defends into the offside. There is no run. A successful over for Will Davis. 5 overs, 1 for 19. Had Shubman Gill caught behind. If you're just joining us on the Leicestershire live stream with me, Knuckle Pandey, and Richard Ray, day 1 of this 4-day tour game between India and Leicestershire. India won the toss and elected to bat, and after 10 overs are 39 for 1.
Abhi Sakande is going to have a bowl from the Bennett end. He's replacing Jasprit Bumrah at that higher end of the ground. Former Sussex, now Leicestershire medium, occasionally medium fast-paced bowler.
It looks as though that was just a transfer of ball, because it's going to be India for India. It's Prasidh Krishna.
It's Krishna who's going to have a go. Yeah.
Hasn't yet played a test match. Has probably more prominent if you're a casual fan's not the right word, but if you don't follow Indian domestic cricket as a white ball player, but a very good first-class record.
Down the slope he comes and bowls to Rohit, who is squared up slightly, looking to play it on the leg side, and comes off the pad, bounces out into the offside, and Evans, having distinguished himself in the previous over with his fielding, manages to lose his feet on that occasion and make something of a Horlicks of it. And he's smiling there as he threw it to Pujara. Got a little bit, well...
sort of a five-a-side goal. As a five-a-side goalkeeper, that's a five-a-side goalkeeper's save. Just get something in the way, doesn't matter how you look.
He walks in now as in goes Krishna and bowls. Again, it's worked into the offside, or looking to work it into the offside is Rohit. Thick outside part of the bat, off the back foot, sees the ball run out towards backward point.
Prasidh was a bit of a latecomer to first-class cricket. He kind of got pigeonholed as a white ball specialist. He's played a good amount of IPL cricket, mostly for KKR, and has played one-day international cricket now for India. But 49 wickets at 17, or just under 18, in 11 first-class games for Prasidh Krishna, in a country that's not always easy to bowl seam to.
And bowling full, driven out into the offside. Didn't put his full weight into that shot, Rohit, and Pujara running across from mid-off towards extra cover, makes the stop, takes the single. I still think Rohit's looking a little bit uncomfortable out there. He's, as you say, maybe still feeling the effects of that delivery from his teammate Bumrah, who is having a chat to him at the moment and maybe just sympathising a little bit.
It's an inquiry after his health.
Sorry about that, Skip.
Now he's telling him how he should have played it.
Yeah, advice that may be less appreciated by Rohit Sharma. He's on 17 though, of 34 balls, 40 without loss. Vihari is on strike, 44 on his bat, very solidly built right-handed batsman. He's taken a guard. Sees that Prasidh Krishna is ready. Down the slope he comes and bowls outside off stump, but wide, and went wider. Again, Pant diving to his right, taking it low in front of first slip. Bates is at first slip, as I say, who is a wicketkeeper, and he's sort of getting ready to take things like a wicketkeeper almost, really. You could almost see him with the pads and gauntlets on there, the way he sort of went down.
Shadow wicket-keeping from first slip, and I noticed there that Rishabh Pant gave him a big sort of hand slap, low 5 there. I think they enjoyed that, the keepers' union.
Krishna is in and bowls, bounce and lift and movement, and it goes past the outside edge of Vihari's bat. That was a super delivery. He's tall, whippy sort of action. It's no great run-up, but he generates a little bit of something extra there. And that was a super delivery.
Yeah, I would wager 6'4", maybe, Prasidh Krishna. Trying to find cricketers' heights online is not always the most reliable, but he is tall. He's got a really sort of strong action, hits the crease hard, and is pretty quick.
Comes in and bowls fuller and straighter, leaning forward in defence is Vihari, pushing the ball back up the pitch on the onside, fielded by Bumrah at mid-on, and there is no run. And an interesting first over there for Krishna. Just conceded the single from it, but produced a couple of really juicy deliveries.
Yeah, I thought I heard a sound in my headphones there from that one that rose past the outside edge. I thought for a second he might have got the shoulder of the bat to it, but no, he managed to to play inside the line of it or to not follow it with his hands. Hanuma Vihari, which is important. Prasidh plays for Karnataka, which is the home state of the India head coach Rahul Dravid. Sharma is going to face up to Davis, so I think having dismissed Shubman, Gill is going to get an extra over, going to get a 6th, 5 overs, 1 for 19 as we come up to 50 minutes of play on this first morning of this tour game. That one's risen past the outside edge. Rishabh Pant, using both feet and his, or rather both hands and his foot, manages not to catch that as it rises past the outside edge of Rohit Sharma's bat. There is no run.
Super delivery again. Maybe the effects of the sort of early morning rolling is wearing off now, and the greenness of the pitch is not just an illusion after all.
It just looks a little bit looser than he did at the start of this spell, Davis. I think he's slamming it down with a bit more authority. This one is comfortably left by Rohit Sharma through to the keeper. There is no run, and that's not just the effect of getting a test opener out, which is obviously going to give you some confidence, but he seemed to be warming into the spell nicely as he went. It's
been one of his issues, I think, Will Davis, at Leicestershire certainly, and maybe at Derbyshire too. Obviously didn't see too much of him there, but I've seen most of the bowling he's done for Leicestershire. You never quite know what you'll get from him, and he can look sort of fairly tired a lot of the time.
That was not a tie delivery, but it's met very authoritatively off the back foot by Rohit Sharma. He didn't quite time the one that went through point. That one goes through cover for 4. Rohit Sharma's most authoritative shot for the last 15 minutes or so. Lovely back foot punch.
The kids love that. They explode into life. They wave their 4 little posters.
Yeah, I saw the ground staff and the teachers and the stewards handing those out to them just before the play started. Loving life. A lot of kids of the South Asian diaspora community, which, if you don't know this part of the world, is huge in Leicester. Wonderful, wonderful occasion for the local communities, as Davis will look to try and remedy what he did poorly in the last over. Slightly overcorrected there, went a little bit leg side, and Rohit blocks this down into the onside. Was that signalled a leg by the umpire at this end?
It sounded quite wooden, didn't it? I'm not sure it was. 22. Rohit is on now, so I think a single has gone down to his name. I'd like to see the kids moved across to maybe to the family stand, so they're a little bit closer to the action. They are an awful long way away over there.
Penultimate ball of the over. Hanuma Vihari now on strike. This one stops in the wicket a little bit, or just seems to pop a little bit. Comes off the splice of the bat directly in front of Hanuma Vihari. No issues. There is no run. Yeah, they are. They're stuck down there, deep third, really, down there, sort of next to the nets. Perhaps if the bowling is from the other end, they might get a whack towards the mid-wicket region.
The main nets are actually on the other side of the road behind the meet. That's just a sort of family, bowler tennis ball net over there in the.
Hopefully that'll get some use over the course of the day. Last ball of the over is a good one from Davis, angling away from Hanuma Vihari. A little bit of movement away, and Hanuma Vihari, I think, genuinely beaten. I mean, he played inside the line of it, but he was beaten by it. A good over from Davis, just, other than that boundary. 45 for 1 after 12, India.
Yes. Davis's last 2 overs have been the best of his spell, really. 6 overs he has bowled now. Probably is getting close to the end, but it's been relatively impressive stuff. Prasidh Krishna will continue. He bowled a very impressive first over from the Bennett end. He's going to be bowling to Rohit Sharma. He's got 3 slips, hasn't got the gully. Well, sort of backward point / deep gully, as Krishna is in. Bowl short, pulled in the air. Oh, almost got a hand to it there. I think Walker may even have got a hand to it. It was just pulled away off the back foot, and Rohit didn't manage to keep it down, and Walker looked like he was in the game, and he may just have brushed his fingers. He's going to pick up 3, but we'll have a look at the replay if we get one and see how close he came just to plucking that one out of the air at mid-wicket.
He wasn't quite in control of that, Rohit Sharma. I think he was trying to get that squarer than he actually hit it. He's a pretty good player of that front foot pull shot, although he was caught out by it a couple of times in England last year. It was a good jump from Walker, a tall man at mid-wicket.
Krishna is in and bowls and goes past the outside edge of Vihari's bat with a delivery that leaves him, and even pant is not necessarily demonstrative in the way he sort of shows his reactions to a delivery, but he really did like that one as he took it running across towards the slips. Lots of movement. This is lovely stuff from Krishna.
Yeah, he's not yet, as I say, he's not yet played a test match. He was brought along to England last year as a net bowler, but was brought into the squad proper for the last test match. I don't think his test debut can be that far away. In he goes and bowls, Pujara doesn't field cleanly, moving to his left at mid-off. As I say, it's a bobbly, hard outfield, slightly bobbly, hard outfield here at the Uptonsteel County Ground. He was giving it a chance to swing there, Krishna, just slightly perhaps overpitched. Didn't go through with a full hard drive though on that occasion. Vihari was content just to push it firmly out into the offside, and Pujara, as I say, didn't take it cleanly, so he picks up a single, moves on to 249 for 1. Gives Rohit another chance to have a good look at Krishna, who is down the slope and bowling to him outside off stump. He steps forward, then just lifts his bat over the line of the ball and indicates with his right hand, as batsmen tend to do, that there was movement there. Still movement away. And that one, you see the difference when the length is fuller and when the length is just back of a length, because that one came through to Rishabh Pant at shin height, ankle height, just on that pull shot. I don't think that Walker did get a hand on it. From what we could see on the monitor, it just went over his good leap, managed to get some air.
He's a tall man. Just for a second, half a second, Rohit's heart will have been in his mouth. Wasn't far away. Krishna is into him again and bowling. It comes back this time and comes off the pad, bounces down towards sort of backward point. Joey Everson comes in from that position, deepish gully. And again, good movement for Krishna. He's only bowled 11 balls, but we'd probably say he's been the most impressive bowler on show so far in the amount of movement he's got. Jasprit Bumrah's advising him here.
Yeah, even the boundary that he was hit for was by no means a bad delivery, and Rohit Sharma was not in full control of the pull shot.
Runs in and bowls to him, comes back in and doesn't miss off stump by very much, taken by Pant, walking away to his left. So movement both ways for Krishna. See how close it actually was. Yeah, it was just a really good delivery again. That little bit of fizz, a little bit of something extra from him.
It's one of those as a batter I think you're quite happy to miss. He just played that. Marcus Trescothick was very fond of that, the bring the bat in towards the body on a curtain rail leave, drop one hand off the bat, make it look as though I was firmly in control of that, and I think he was just, but it was a tight run. I think we are going to have a change of bowling at this end. There it is, Roman Walker, boomed out by the PA system here at Grace Road. Ex-Glamorgan, strongly built seam. I suppose in a modern rugby team he'd be a winger, but in a rugby team of about 15 years ago it would have been a flanker or something like that. As Walker is into Hanuma Vihari, blocked off the back foot into the offside. The slightly unlikely figure of Jadeja Pujara, not exactly a swooper in the covers field. There is no run.
Fango, Fox and Matilda are watching down in Melbourne, Australia. He's making the batters hurry, Krishna, he says. He's impressed with what he's seen.
Certainly is, and yeah, quite 8:30 in Melbourne. Quite a nice bit of post-dinner time viewing. This is delighted to have you with us from all over the world as Roman Walker is in forward, and Vihari plays solidly off the front foot into the mid-wicket region. Joey Everson does the fielding. Gold sunglasses on the back of his head. There is no run.
Brunty not alone among Leicestershire supporters. Any chance we could hang on to a few of the lads who don't make the test team for our trip in the Championship to Hove? Do you think Sussex will mind? I suspect they might.
I suspect Jadeja Pujara might have been one of the... I think if ever there was a player, Jadeja Pujara, I don't think Sussex would be particularly keen on that for a number of reasons, as Roman Walker's in. Third ball of the over, right arm over the wicket, punched off the back foot by Vihari, not really looking to do anything more than steer it, and nicely fielded by Evans at backward point. Throw again taken by Rishabh Pant around the ankles. Single for Vihari.
India supporters who are not aware, Leicestershire are not one of the wealthier counties around, and they've struggled a little bit in the county championship this season. They have yet to win a game, played 8, lost 5, drawn 3, and the draws have been sort of hang on for a draws, if you know what I mean. So they are still searching for a first Red Bull win of the season.
Walker's fourth bowl, bowling to Rohit Sharma, who leaves through to the keeper. There is no run. Bit of encouragement from Bumrah, who's at mid-off. This has become almost commonplace, really, around the world. The days of fast bowlers grazing at long leg are long gone. You usually have a fast bowler at mid-on and mid-off talking to the bowlers, swapping expertise and swapping little bits of tactical advice. You see James Anderson and Stuart Broad almost uniformly at mid-on and mid-off for each other's bowling for England. As Walker is in to Rohit that beats him on the outside edge. That is a cracker of a delivery. A little bit fuller, a little bit of movement away, late off the seam. Beautiful delivery from Roman Walker, and another one that Rohit Sharma was very happy to miss. Bit of a yelp from behind the wicket, but nothing really from the bowler. Lovely delivery from Walker.
Yeah, Pant went up along with the slips, and Rohit sort of turned around and gave his wicketkeeper a slightly old-fashioned look there, but understandable that the slips went up there. Bit of news from Paul Nixon about Rehan Ahmed. I can bring you.
Last ball over the over. Is another beauty from Walker again, past the outside edge, past the shoulder of the bats, and not just movement but a little bit of bounce using his height and his strength. Well, lovely first over from Roman Walker, just the one off it. 14 overs gone, India 50 for 1, but Roman Walker, Jasprit Bumrah and Prasidh Krishna have caused them problems.
Unquestionably have. Yeah, just to finish that about Rehan Ahmed. Unfortunately, he was ill yesterday, and consequently, it was decided it was as well for him not to play in this game. So he will not, I'm afraid, be appearing for the Foxes against India. That is such a shame.
That is disappointing. He's, if you've seen any of the blasts this year, Rehan Ahmed, the 17-year-old leg spinner, is a real talent.
Krishna is in, bowls outside off stump, good pace and bounce, but it was too wide. Vihari had nothing to do with it, let it bounce through to Pant, who again is giving Bates the benefit of his wisdom behind the stumps. Vihari walks away towards short leg, burst of drumming between overs. One of the many little extras that Leicestershire have imported for this game, just to generate a little bit more atmosphere. There is plenty of good atmosphere, I should say. In goes Krishna and bowls straight, and forward is Vihari. Thick inside part of the bat, sees the ball trickle out towards short mid-wicket. Moving across there from mid-on is Jasprit Bumrah, and there is no run.
There was a while in English cricket where musical instruments were, I think in some places, actually banned, and I think it was one of the most short-sighted moves that administrators have made in the long history of short-sighted moves by administrators. It just adds so much to a game.
Krishna is in, bowls, goes past the outside edge again, I think, of Vihari's bat. I say I think because he sort of held the pose with the bat slightly raised, as though he'd actually not gone through with the shot, let it run past. Let's have a look-see. I think he had a little play at that one. I'm liking this from Krishna. It's a little bit of late movement again, a little bit of movement through the air as much as anything. 50 for 1. Vihari is having it tough out there. He's faced 15 balls for his 3. He's probably facing the best bowling of the game so far at the moment as well. Krishna is in as the sun comes back out and bowls to him, goes past the outside edge again with a ball that bounces and leaves him, and this time the young man just pauses momentarily at the end of his follow-through and looks at the batter, whom he is giving a fairly hard time at the moment. 50 for 1.
Prasidh bowled 16 balls and all of them have been excellent.
Bumrah.
16 balls, I should say. Every single one. Even the fuller deliveries, they've not been floaty at all. They've had movement, they've had venom.
In he comes and bowls outside off stump. A little bit shorter this time, and Vihari can stay on the back foot and leave, and will have no doubt been relieved to do so. Lifts his bat high over the line of the ball.
Hanuma Vihari had a first-class average of close to 70 when he was picked for India when they were here in 2018. It was the Oval that he made his debut. Averages in the mid-30s and has played some very important roles for India, not least when injured in Australia. But you get the impression he's not entirely sure where he wants to score.
Krishna is in, bowls to him, straighter this time. He's more comfortable with that delivery on the back foot, playing it out towards mid-on. 50 for 1, it's the end of the over. All sorts of food and drink available at the ground today. Various options located behind the Galahad stand, the Three Kilns Indian food outlet, and a noodle stall. On the back behind the electronic scoreboard, the Royal Indian food stand. At the end of the meet, the Mirch Masala, serving vegetarian Indian cuisine, also a burger and hot dog van, and the Meat Cafe and Bar open upstairs, serving a full menu even, and the Spice Bazaar outlet, located in the Geary Bar, is also open.
Roman Walker, can he back up that excellent first over? This is a little bit full and floaty on leg stump. Misses out on that, rather. Blocks it to Abhidina Sakande at mid-wicket. Sakande, who was at Sussex until a couple of years ago, hasn't yet fully established himself in the Leicestershire first team. He is warming up there at mid-wicket, just to the left of the square leg umpire. I think that I'm going to have to strategically try every single one of those food outlets over the time that I am here. It would be remiss of me not to.
It's your duty.
Journalism. Short and pulled off the top edge. Is that going to land in the hands of mid-wicket? It is. Abhidin Sakande had to go back towards the mid-wicket boundary, but made up the ground comfortably, got into position, and Rohit mistimed to pull off from the other end of Prasidh Krishna. Mistimes this one off Walker, well, Bumrah and Prasidh have both bowled well, but it's the Glamorgan bowlers, Davis getting Gill, and now Roman Walker getting Rohit Sharma caught by Abhidina Sakande backpedaling from mid-wicket off a top-edged pull. He's gone for a not entirely comfortable 25 off 47. India 50 for 2, and judging by the uptick in volume, I barely need to say who the next batter is. It is the former India Test captain Virat Kohli.
Rohit Sharma leaving the pitch very slowly. As you say, there was never any sort of momentum to his innings, never looked really comfortable out there, and he'll obviously get a second chance in this game, you would imagine, at some stage, but looks in need of it as well, just needs time in the middle, I think. Virat Kohli,
as has been much documented, has gone a long time without an international 100. October 2019 since his last international 100 in the day-night test match in Calcutta against Bangladesh. Has played some very decent test innings in that time, some very important 50s. Was batting like an absolute dream in Adelaide, if you remember, before being run out by Ajinkya Rahane, effectively his vice captain in that game. Good innings in the World Test Championship final, some good innings in England, but we'll be looking to recapture some of that authority that is a hallmark of him at his best. The batter's crossed while that ball was in the air. We're not employing the rule that we've seen in a lot of white ball cricket, where the new batter must face. Hanuma Vihari is on strike and is beaten by this from Walker. Fuller prod sort of inside the line enough by Vihari, but he's not looked settled yet either. 3 off 19 deliveries now. Scoreboard is just trying to work out who's on strike and who's got how many runs.
The scorers control it at the moment. Hopefully they'll get it right shortly. That's better.
3 off 19 to Hanuma Vihari. Virat Kohli yet to face the wickets to fall. Shubman Gill caught behind off the bowling of Will Davis for 21, and Rohit Sharma just now caught at mid-wicket by Sakande off Roman Walker for 25. This is guided off the back foot by Vihari into the backward point region. It's fielded by the captain Sam Evans, and there is no run. The bowlers have worked out that you're better off being length or slightly back of a length, and you can get a bit of seam movement. And they're all tall, really. Even Davis is quite tall, and Roman Walker certainly over 6 foot, strongly built. Into Vihari here is third ball of the over. That's nicely pushed, but not with any real power. And again, Evans collapses on it at backward point. There is no run.
It's hard to know what sort of relationship this pitch will bear to the pitch on which the test match will be played over at Edgbaston, which is only 30 odd miles away from here next week.
It's been a very good batting pitch this year, Edgbaston. It often
Tended
is.
to be, hasn't it?
It's often quick scoring ground. As in comes Roman Walker. This is left alone, as much on length as anything else by Vihari. Comfortably left, but another very good over from Roman Walker. I think that might have been a wicket maiden. 2 overs, 1 maidens, 1 for 1. Very, very good stuff from Roman Walker. India, the batter's getting a workout this morning at Grace Road. 50 for 2 after 16 overs.
He won't forget that, Roman Walker, to have dismissed Rohit Sharma. It may not be a first-class game, but it's a feather in the cap, nonetheless, for the young man. Looking to make a breakthrough into the Leicestershire's first team squad. He's played a couple of T20 games, grinning up at the Leicestershire balcony. He's pleased about that. Down at long leg now. Prasidh Krishna, who has been really impressive in the 3 overs he's bowled, none for 5 at the moment, and he's going to be bowling to Virat Kohli, and it would be a feather in his cap if he could dismiss the great man. Down the slope he comes and bowls, and Kohli gets a delivery that lifts outside the off-stump. Super delivery, but I think he dropped his hands out there when he rehearses a drop of the hands, so to speak. Pulls the bat back inside the line in front of his body, but again, good bounce and good movement for the impressive young Krishna.
Yeah, Prasidh Krishna and Virat Kohli again wouldn't have played against each other in first-class cricket. Virat Kohli hasn't played a domestic first-class game in a very long time. Such are his commitments with India in all formats.
Krishna is in, bowls to him, thick inside edge as that one drifts towards Milton leg. He defends it, and Walker lets it go through his legs somehow, or over his hands. It bounces, and Krishna will not be over impressed with that. That said, it means he can continue bowling at Kohli, who picks up a boundary. A big cheer from the India supporters down there from that misfield by Walker.
A big giggle from Gavin Griffiths, who's just given him one of the sub-fielders just given him a water bottle and put his hand over his face.
So, such is cricket. One moment you're on top of the world, next minute you're humiliated. In goes Krishna and bowls. Again, slightly short of a length. Kohli stays on the back foot and drops the delivery on off stump back down the pitch and wanders down to have a look at it. The pitch, that is. 54 for 2.
Wanted quite a long way down there. He was almost in the other half of the wicket. I don't think Prasidh Krishna's bowled anything quite that short yet. He's just been banging away on a length of the odd full delivery.
Leans forward, pumps his knees, runs in and bowls and goes past the outside edge of Kohli's bat with another super delivery that gets a little moan of appreciation from the India supporters and those behind the bowler's arm and behind the batter as well, because this is great stuff from Krishna. Ooh, that one went. And again, it was taken by Pant above his shoulders. He's standing quite a long way back, but an indication of that pace as well as movement that Krishna is getting. And he looks a really promising young man to me, a promising young bowler. Serious. Comes in and bowls, and this time Kohli brought the bat back inside the line as it bounced and swung away, and Pant diving across in front of, almost again reaching second slip, where Kimber is the fielder. Bates at first, Davis at third. Doesn't manage to take it cleanly, but Kimber is much amused. Pant is gesturing away behind there.
It must be great fun being in a slip cordon with Rishabh Pant. Never a dull moment. Always. And it's really important for those long days sometimes, just that little bit of energy and life.
Krishna is in, bowls, thick outside edge, but well played by Kohli because it was a really testing delivery. He got on top of it, played it with soft hands, and although it was a thick outside edge, it bounced well short of Louis Kimber at second slip. End of another really good over from Prasidh Krishna. 4 overs, none for 9. Fairly ordinary figures, but it has not been ordinary bowling. India are 54 for 2.
No, I don't think there's been a single bad ball in those 4 overs. Not even nothing offline. The full deliveries have had a little bit of swing. He's been hit for 1 bounder, but it wasn't at all well controlled. Roman Walker from this end has bowled very well as well. It just took a little bit of time for the bowlers to settle, but maybe it's just the cloud cover and just a settling into the right length on this wicket. That is full, that is driven, and that is out. Hanuma Vihari not getting a full stride into that drive, pushed at it with his hands. Roman Walker went full, and it's caught at first slip by Bates. Hanuma Vihari has gone for a scratchy looking 3 off 23 deliveries. Roman Walker 2.1 overs, 1 maiden, 2 for 1. He's dismissed Hanuma Vihari and Rohit Sharma. India 54 for 3.
Full delivery, swung a little bit. He was a little bit in the crease again, wasn't he, Vihari? And he went through with the shot anyway. And in the end, a reasonably comfortable catch into the midriff of Bates. And as you say, it was a little bit, he never really got going at all. He had 23 balls for his 3 and struggled throughout, really.
It wasn't so much that he played any particularly bad shots. There was a lot of good bowling to him, particularly from Prasidh Krishna, but it was never entirely clear, and it hasn't always been entirely clear through his test career such far exactly where he's trying to score. Someone for whom that is very much not true, Shreyas Iyer, is coming out at number 5, scores very, very quickly in first-class cricket, has a test 100, I think got a test 100 on debut against New Zealand towards the end of last year, and Ajinkya Rahane won't be part of this tour party. He was dropped after a prolonged, poor 2021. He was dropped for the tour of for the series against Sri Lanka, and Shreyas Iyer has pretty much taken his slot at number 5. Man from Mumbai, who are currently playing in the Ranji Trophy final and bossing it against Madhya Pradesh. Shreyas Iyer, a very, very watchable player.
Supporters enjoying the drumming at the moment.
You've got to get yourself into it. I think that the drums and the whistles, I'm all for it at all forms of cricket. Absolutely. Walker into Shreyas Iyer, who leaves with a good amount of authority there in that leave. There's a danger of twisting the commentary to suit a narrative here, but there was more comfort in that leave than really in any of the deliveries that Hanuma Vihari faced.
Yeah. Walker's just a very slightly slingy action. That's a little bit unfair, but it is slightly. But it does mean if there is any movement through the air, he does tend to find it away from the right-handers, especially under cloud cover, which is now becoming thicker. 3
slips in as Walker's into Shreyas Iyer. That one leaps from a length, but Shreyas Iyer was pretty much in control of that. A little bit tennis bally as it ballooned past the outside edge, but one that if you were trying to play it, that would catch you off guard. But nicely not played at by Shreyas Iyer.
Pant's rather enjoying this, I think, now behind the stumps. Movement.
I think he's quite enjoying watching his teammates look a bit uncomfortable.
Exactly. Yeah.
This is a workout that the India top order batters are getting. Again, good stride into the lead from Shreyas Iyer. Leaves this 3 to the keeper. There is no run in limited overs cricket, which is a lot of what Shreyas Iyer has played, certainly at kind of prominent levels. He's played, he's been an IPL captain of 2 different franchises. He's played some one-day international cricket and T20 cricket for India. He was recently in the series against South Africa. He has struggled to score off the short ball. It's not that he's necessarily bad against it, but he doesn't have a particularly good pull or hook shot. It'll be interesting to see if that is tested. That's on the front foot and keeps a little bit low. Easy leave for Shreyas Iyer through to the keeper. There is no run. But he's a very, very talented cricketer, Shreyas Iyer. And just look at, I was doing some research on his first-class record thus far for Mumbai. He scores at over 4.5 and over in in the Ranji Trophy, and average is over 50. 10 hundreds, 5 of them 150 plus. He has very much earned his way into this India team, as Walker is defended with what appeared to be a good amount of time from Shreyas Iyer to backward point. There is no run. I think that's another maiden for Rowan Walker. Not as impressive as his other maiden, but still 3 overs, 2 maidens, 2 for 1, bowling against almost a first choice India team. You will absolutely take it. 54 for 3. If you could hear any of that over the drums.
I was going to wait for a few seconds before jumping in there. Let you hear the benefit of the rhythm and the beat as Walker walks back towards the drums down here at long leg. Big cheer for that little burst. Kohli, 4 off 6 balls, stands with his bat raised, looking suspiciously back up the wicket at Prasidh Krishna, who runs in and bowls to him outside off stump line and length, but a little bit too wide. Kohli steps forward and lifts his bat very deliberately over the line of the ball.
Kohli and Shreyas are almost making a point of getting a stride in now, which we haven't really seen much of in the last hour. You know, there's leaves of balls that are going well over the top of the stumps. Rishabh Pant taking them, fingers pointing up above waist height, but there's that stride into the ball. I mentioned Ricky Ponting earlier. Pretty much every leave could have been a drive from that position.
79,000 people watching this now on the stream, fascinated by India's preparation as outside off stump Krishna bowls and beats Kohli. Again drew the great man into a forward defensive, and it went past the outside edge. Hugely impressive stuff from the young man. 4.2 overs, none for 9, but could easily have a couple of wickets to his name already.
He played at that, Virat Kohli. The bat was just a little bit away from the body, or away from the pad at least. Followed it with his hands a little bit, which is, you know, very common of Virat Kohli early in his innings.
Krishna is in elbows, jutting bowls outside off stump. Again, too wide. Pant dived away to his right. Didn't take the ball cleanly, but stopped it, took the pace right off it, and the amused Kimber at second slip cleaned up again. He's obviously a very funny man as well, judging by the permagrin on the faces of the slips there. Davis, Kimber and Bates are all hugely enjoying.
I think we'll have to ask all of them at the end of play exactly what Rishabh Pant has been saying.
But it's a fairly constant stream. In goes Krishna and bowls. Good bounce again. Comes back in again. Comes back in this time to Kohli, but he plays it very well. There isn't that much pace in the track, so if you're a good player, you can adjust. If you have very quick eyes, and Kohli did there, he's kindly rehearsing the shot that he played, or the shot that he didn't play, for our benefit, as it came back in and climbed up past his stomach, lifted his bat over the line of the ball.
I can see over there at the sort of offside of the ground some kids maybe going around the back of the stand for some refreshment, or maybe a game of quick cricket.
Krishna is in, bowls for looking for the Yorker, dug out by Kohli, but another good testing delivery played out to mid-on this occasion. Rehearses the clip through mid-wicket there, Virat Kohli, and perhaps if he'd been in a little bit longer, he would have looked to work it away down towards deep mid-wicket, to the delight of the kids out there.
He actually air-batted 2 shots there. He practiced the clip through mid-wicket and then the punch on drive, a la his coach Rahul Dravid.
Do that again, and that's what I'll do to you, young man. Sending a message, perhaps. In goes Krishna and bowls to him. Good line and length, but I say good line and length. It was slightly wide outside of stump, so left by Kohli, and then Krishna has enough confidence to stay there at the end of his follow-through, it being the end of his over, and chat to Virat Kohli, who can only be impressed with what he's seen so far in this match of Prasidh Krishna. 5 overs, none for 9. It was a maiden over. But he's still getting good pace and good movement. The conversations continue out there between Kohli and Pujara and Iyer.
Prasidh Krishna bringing his way back to the leg as well,
yeah.
Having a little bit of a word, swapping notes and saying well bowled and I'll get you, and you know, like a baseball player pointing where they're going to hit a home run. This is where I'm going to hit you for 4, all of this stuff. As Shreyas Iyer drives very pleasantly off Roman Walker, a full delivery, but straight to Pujara at cover.
Pujara's got his sleeveless sweater on now, so it has clouded up a bit from the southeast. As I say, warning is just the chance of the odd shower. The forecast for most of the game is pretty good, but it's just taking the edge off the temperatures of the cloud.
We're in that bit of summer, it's kind of around the solstice, where a thunderstorm can come up out of nowhere in England. As Walker is into Shreyas Iyer, yet to get off the mark. Tries to get off the mark there with a quick single, but they quickly decide against it. Cheteshwar Pujara is not the quickest mover in the field, but there was no run there, and Kohli and Iyer worked that out quite quickly. In the end, there is no run.
The audience building all the time for this stream. Now, I suppose we're getting towards the end of the working day in India, aren't we? So people coming in from work, perhaps, and watching.
4:23 p.m. As Walker is in to Shreyas Iyer, left alone through to the keeper. There is no run. I think the presence of a certain Virat Kohli at the crease may have something to do with the
yes,
with the uptick. But yeah, there's huge interest, of course, in India wherever they go, and we're delighted to have so many of you with us, and we hope you'll stick around over the next 4 days.
We should say that in England this season, every ball bowled in county cricket is now streamed on the internet. And the quality is pretty good.
As Walker is into Shreyas Iyer, it's the first ball that he's faced of his 9 deliveries where he's looked a little uncomfortable, just takes the bottom hand off it and guides it to back point. There is no run. Yeah, I interviewed Ben Warren at Somerset, who handles their stuff, and they put a lot of money into it during the 2020 season, to the point where they were actually, it's an actual profit driver for Somerset. And we've seen Sky TV, for example, have taken some of the feeds from Middlesex, and you have multiple cameras and replays and good production values. It is very, very impressive what the counties have done with, in some cases, minimal resources. This is an attempted clip off the hips from Shreyas Iyer as Walker bowls his first slightly offline delivery. It's a leg by as it comes off the thigh pad, and now Roman Walker will get a chance to bowl to Virat Kohli, who just scratches his guard. Often bats outside of his crease to the seamers. I don't think he is so far today. Bumrah has just sort of motioned, bring him forward to Roman Walker. Let's see if he can take that advice. Rishabh Pant still chatting away to his new friend in the slip cordon. As Roman Walker comes in, last ball of his 4th over to Virat Kohli, who leaves this. It's clearly going over the top of the stumps, and no one was particularly interested in the appeal. Even Walker wasn't particularly interested in the appeal. 4 overs for him, 2 maidens, 2 for 1. Actually, technically 3 maidens, I think, because the leg byes don't go against him as the bowler. India, 20 overs gone of this tour match, 55 for 3, but certainly in the last hour or so, a lot less comfortable than that would suggest.
Yeah, not the greatest leave there by Virat Kohli, but yeah, much too high. But good movement again for the bowler. Krishna will continue 5 overs, none for 9 from the Bennett end. Down the slope he comes and bowls to Iyer, who drives and misses. And is it taken? It is out. He's gone. He has got the edge, and Krishna has a deserved wicket. It was a very faint edge, might even, given that Pant looked to take it low to his left, might even have been an inside edge, may just have come back a little bit. We'll have a careful look at the replay. It was a slightly airy drive from Iyer, especially relatively early in his innings, just the 10th or even 11th ball that he has faced, yet to get off the mark. It looked comfortable enough at the other end against Walker, but was drawn into driving at that one. No real foot movement. Bat was away from the body. Faint edge taken by Pant, who has his 2nd catch of the morning. And India are 55 for 4.
Didn't quite get into the ball, did he? I think it was an inside edge, low off the sort of inside bottom corner of the bat, and a good take by Rishabh Pant, lower, kind of above his left foot, and you're right, Prasidh Krishna has absolutely deserved that. I think he's been the pick of the bowlers this morning, has troubled his top order colleagues with pretty much every delivery, and it'll be interesting to see what he can do now to Ravindra Jadeja coming out at number 6. Who has been in phenomenal batting form over the last 2 or 3 years, almost a batting all-rounder these days. a couple of test matches ago, or maybe even in his last test match, got his test high score of 175 against Sri Lanka.
Number 8 on his back, long-sleeved shirt for Jadeja, short-sleeved as ever for Virat Kohli. 55 for 4.
Yeah, from a position of 50 for 1. There's barely been a shot of any authority in the last 40 minutes. Virat Kohli scored a boundary that was, a nice little turn off the hips, but a misfield, and that has been really the only scoring shot of note recently.
Krishna is in to the left-handed Jadeja, who is up on his toes, dropping the ball off leg stump down towards short leg. Bowley comes running in, but Kohli had seen there was a comfortable single to be taken and took it, but then he just stretches his left hamstring a little bit. Kohli, I'm sure he's fine, and he's looking back towards the India bench. He seems fine. He's stretched it off a little bit. That doesn't want a hamstring injury going into the test match. Still looking back there. Krishna is down the slope, bowls to him. He leaves outside off stump. Pant has to dive miles and can't get there on this occasion. First and second slip steps smartly out of the way. They don't even try to get into the way, and that is 4 byes. That one boomed away from the outside edge. And, he may just actually have just got the edge of his gauntlets to that one and deflected it wide of Bates at first slip, but it did rather look as though they were stepping out of the way. I don't think we'll bother. Thank you very much.
Well, Bates was kind of air wicket-keeping to it, but then Punt deflected it round the post for a corner. That went sharply off the seam away from Virat Kohli.
Krishna down the slope in and bowls, straightens his line up a little bit. Fuller, middle and leg, pushed by Kohli off that line out into the onside. Picked up by Bumrah at mid-on, and there is no run. It has now pretty much solidly clouded over. I can see a little bit of a shower away, good 5 miles or so away to the south-east. Hopefully that will pass to the south of the ground. Pitch is a sort of north-south-ish alignment. The weather usually comes from the southwest over the electronic scoreboard here. In goes Krishna, bowls down the leg side, flicked on its way. No, looked, he did flick at it, Kohli, but again, prodigious movement off the seam from Krishna. Banged it in. He's a tall young man, hit the seam, but seamed away down the leg side, down to the finest of fine legs for 4. Pant barely moved.
4 wides, I think, signal, which I think is a little harsh. It's certainly a one-day wide, but it wasn't that wide of the batter. Slightly harsh. I mean, it would have been harsh on Punt had it gone down as byes, I suppose. But yeah, the ball is doing a little bit from Prasidh Krishna, to say the least.
He is in and bowls outside off stump to Kohli, who, unlike Iyer, is not to be tempted into driving. Doesn't let that one go through. Steps forward. Wants to spend time at the crease.
Now, the scorecard I'm looking at says byes, but I thought I saw the umpire spread the wings. Certainly sundries.
It would have been a harsh call on the bowler, but yes. 65 for 4. Krishna, coming to the end of his 6th over, possibly his last, is in and bowls again down the leg side. Bounce this time, doesn't move quite as far. Kohli again gestures at the ball rather than attempts to push it away down to fine leg, taken by Pant comfortably enough, and that is the end of Krishna's over. And it did look towards the end of that over that he was getting just slightly, maybe tired, just starting to lose his line a bit, but it has been a most impressive spell from the young man. 6 overs, 2 maidens, 1 for 15.
Yeah, very, very good from Prasidh Krishna, the pick of the bowlers this morning. If you're just joining us here on the live stream with me, Knuckle Pandey, and Richard Ray, 4 India players are playing for Leicestershire. Rishabh Pant, who is keeping, certainly in this first session. Jasprit Bumrah and Prasidh Krishna, who both bowled, and Cheteshwar Pujara who is currently in the covers, and we will probably bat number 3. Roman Walker has bowled 4 overs, 3 maidens, 2 for 1 thus far, starting his 5th to Ravindra Jadeja. It's a Yorker that just goes in between bat and pad and misses the off stump. Really good in-swinging Yorker from Roman Walker, taken by Rishabh Pant. Jadeja is lucky to still be there.
It's good stuff from both Krishna and Walker, isn't it? It's not what you necessarily expect. Seen off the new ball, or you think you've seen off the new ball. Only 21 overs and a delivery old, of course. It's actually pretty much at its best right now, isn't it? With I presume we're using the Duke's ball.
As Walker is into Ravindra Jadeja, who defends off the inside part of the bat to mid-wicket. There is no run. Yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of talk about the Duke's ball not being up to scratch this year. They're handmade, so each batch is different, but it can often be the case, certainly with swing through the air, that once the lacquer goes off the Duke after the first 20 minutes, 40 minutes or so, that the ball can start doing a bit more. Most of it's been off the seam today. It's been slightly back of a length and nibbling the ball off the seam, but Walker is certainly getting the ball to move through the air. He's into Ravindra Jadeja now, who pushes at this, and it squirts off the outer part of the bat well wide of third slip, and that's the first boundary for Ravindra Jadeja, the first boundary for some time, but not in full control.
Davis at third slip, just half dived away to his left, thought he might have been in the game, couldn't quite get there, bounced, you say, sort of good bit before him and a little bit wide, but even so, genuine edge from Jadeja, managed just to keep it down sufficiently.
India scored 35 runs in the first 9 overs and looked pretty comfortable at that point, but just the 34 runs since then, and lost a loss of 4 wickets, and the boundaries, none of them particularly convincing, as Walker comes in to Jadeja, strikes him on the pad. It's not even really an appeal, it's an ooh from Roman Walker as it strikes him high on the thigh pad. There is no run. And the ball to come in to the left-hander. It'll be interesting to see if he can get Kohli on strike and take the ball away from him. Virat Kohli can be susceptible, as has been well documented, to pushing balls outside off stump, moving away from him. As Walker's in, penultimate ball of the over. Still over the wicket to the left-hander. Beats him outside off stump. Semi-left by Jadeja. Sort of allowed himself to be beaten. But a good ball again from Walker. On back of a length and just angling across the left-hander. And I suppose that's why he's still over the wicket rather than going round the wicket, as we see a lot of particularly tall right-arm bowlers to left-handers. He thinks he can challenge both edges better from over.
Certainly. One of the issues with the Duke balls, I'll come back at that point in a moment at the end of the over, actually.
Last ball of Walker's 5th, the 22nd of the innings, is clipped in the air, but well into the gap between mid-wicket and mid-on. I'm not sure if that's going to run away to the fence. A chase from Jasprit Bumrah, and they'll come through for 3. Not perfectly timed, but well enough placed. The ball rears up off the practice pitches as Bumrah throws it in and nearly takes out bowler, Bowley backing up, and Jadeja, but all is well. 3 runs off the last delivery of the over. Jadeja will keep strike. He's on 8 for Kohli on for India after 22 overs, 72 for 4.
It was at a catchable height, but into the gap, so living a little bit dangerously at the moment, Jadeja. He moves on to 8. Umpire Russell Warren was in danger there as well. Yeah, no, just that point about the Duke balls. One of the issues has been that they put the lacquer over the seam as well from the start of this season. So although that they've gone out of shape fairly quickly, or certainly the first batch of balls did go out of shape. One innings, Leicestershire played in up at Durham. The ball was changed 4 times in the first 80 overs because it just wouldn't go through the sort of gauge that they use now to ensure sphericality of the ball. But putting the lacquer over the seam means it sometimes is 4 or 5 or 6 overs before the seam starts to really take effect as well. And maybe that's been the case here, but maybe, of course, Krishna and Walker have bowled very, very well. They've certainly both hit the seam and got movement, but Krishna is now out of the attack, as we suspected would be the case, and we are now going to see Abhi Sikandar have a bowl from the Bennett end. Been a disappointing season for Sekhande, who will have been hoping to play some first-team cricket. In he goes and bowls out. Is it me? Outside off stump and... is it me?
You are on strike, yes.
I am. Okay, bowls outside off stump and taken by Pant, allowed to go through by Jadeja. Early days for not to be sure, but do you wait till the fourth day? I won't have a clue. 72 for 4.
Sekhande's another one who's got a slightly slingy action. He's always had pace, Sekhande. He's often struggled a little bit for control. I mean, he was in a Sussex team that had a lot of very good fast bowlers, which I think is why he left.
Big, strong man bowls fullish and looking to drive. Jadeja walks into that firm push out towards mid-off. It goes and there's no run. Plenty of India flags I can see around being waved and around people's shoulders. Leicestershire have a range of India merchandise available, including flags, whistles, horns and wristbands from the club shop located at the main Curzon Road entrance, along, of course, with official Leicestershire merchandise, including replica kits. Round the wicket goes Sekhande and bowls full outside off stump, almost a full toss, and waiting for it. Jadeja content just to bunt it into the offside, slightly wide of mid-off, and take the single. He moves on to 9, 73 for 4. Difficult for Sekhande. He's following probably the spell of the match so far, with respect to Oman Walker, who's got the best figures of the game so far from Prasidh Krishna. And comparisons are going to be difficult in those circumstances, but certainly his first 3 deliveries slightly less threatening than any of those bowled by Krishna.
I suppose he'll be used to following excellent bowlers, given that he's from Sussex with Chris Jordan and Jofra Archer.
Down the slope he comes and bowls outside off stump to Virat Kohli, who lets that one go through. It doesn't really deviate from its line, taken lowish by Pant. Davis just swinging his arms a little bit at third slip. I'd be surprised if he came back on yet. Will Davis opened the bowling for Leicestershire from this pavilion end.
Do you think they'll go to Bowley, the spinner, before lunch? Maybe an over?
Be interesting to see. It'd be the logical thing, wouldn't it, just to see if there's a little bit there for him?
Get him into the game, I think, shouldn't
Indeed. Sekhande is in and bowling outside off stump. It's a nice action. Outside off stump might just have moved away a touch, but it was too wide to start with, and Kohli let it go through to Pant. And I think one of the things that's frustrated Leicestershire since he's been here is that often looks good, Abhi Sekhande, but somehow they've been trying to get sort of an extra yard of, even foot or so of pace from him that hasn't really transpired. They've not been able to find it or the movement. In he goes and bowls to Kohli, who's driving pleasantly. Thick outside part of the bat along the ground all the way behind point down to wide third man for 4. But I would suggest, looking at the replay, it was kind of placed there by Kohli, just inside out. He knew what he was doing there, and he moves on to 8.
Just that little turn of the bottom hand. He might have been trying to get that the other a little bit sort of squarer, but it was pretty much in control. Slightly too full from Sekhande. Oh, I say slightly too full. That actually is the kind of delivery that Virat Kohli can get out to. It's one of those classic strength is a weakness ones, the square drive from Virat Kohli. I was reading today Azhar Mahmood, the Surrey bowling coach, talking about Jamie Overton and the work they've done with him to get him more consistent, and now he's, of course, making his Test debut at Headingley. And I wonder if some of the similar kind of work might be profitable with Sekhande as Walker's in, and that's beautifully driven down the ground by Ravindra Jadeja. The most authoritative shot for a good hour of this tour game, punched firmly down the ground, offside of the stumps at the non-strikers end for 4.
Yeah, giving it a chance to swing, but overdoing it a bit there, Oman Walker. Swung all right, straight back down past him into the advertising hoardings.
Lovely woody thump off the bat from Ravindra Jadeja. Still the 3 slips in place. India 81 for 4 as Walker's in. This is outside off stump, and there is no run. You suspect this might be Walker's last of this spell. 6 overs seems a decent workout for him. for any bowler, really. And it's a rare occurrence where you'd want a seamer bowling 7 overs on the trot. We've got just under 20 minutes until lunch. Got 3 slips. A backward point set quite deep for us with Krishna. Jadeja does flay the ball hard through the covers as Walker's in, strikes Jadeja on the pad, and it's given. And it's kept low from back of a length. It's come in. I think that little bit of movement in meant that that ball pitched in line and was hitting the stumps. Not a particularly difficult decision for the umpire at this end. And Ravindra Jadeja, just as he was starting to look good, is gone for 13 off 12. So Roman Walker is having a day out here on day 1 at Grace Road. He's got Rohit Sharma, he's got Hanuma Vihari, he's now got Ravindra Jadeja for 13 off as many balls. 81 for 5, India.
Yep, swung back in, and as you say, didn't get up as much, I suspect, as Jadeja thought it might, and was probably going to hit leg stump. I would suggest we'll have a careful look at the replay.
Middle and leg, maybe.
Yeah.
It's very, very straight from Roman Walker, and Jadeja perhaps going back when he should have been forward to it, but the little bit of seam movement has given the India top order troubles. Bharat comes in at number 5, the backup wicketkeeper, now very much the second choice wicketkeeper. Can be a very sort of punchy. He plays in a very wicket-keepery manner, if you know what I mean. Slightly unorthodox player, very punchy sort of cricketer. Nowhere near as destructive as Rishabh Pant, say, if you are, but a very decent player. Has made a bit of a name for himself in the IPL. Plays for Andhra in sort of southern central India. Kona Shrikar Bharat is taking guard at number 7.
Well, Walker doing his cause no harm at all in the eyes of the Leicestershire coaching staff. One assumes with his bowling here. One of the sort of question marks that was put against the arrival of Everson was sort of, will he go in the way of Walker?
As Walker's into Bharat, who leaves this through to the keeper, there is no run. Punt taking that low in front of sort of first and a half slip. Questioning that, Everson
6 weeks and he will play. You would imagine he'll be in the squad certainly for, and that, he wouldn't be here otherwise. For the games against Sussex and the following month, Glamorgan.
He's coming back off an injury, Joey Everson, that kept him out of the Nottinghamshire team, was in the seconds and has come here for some first-class cricket, first team cricket, you'd imagine. So it would be a little strange if he didn't play, given that. Bharat facing up to the impressive Walker back of a length, and Bharat plays this off the back foot into the offside, and there is no run. Virat Kohli leans nonchalantly on his bat at the non-striker's end. Non-striker's end. I wonder if Roman Walker has bought himself another over with that wicket of Ravindra Jadeja.
Davis continuing to windmill his arms at third slip, suggesting he might just get an over or two before lunch, a second spell.
As Walker is in, last ball of his over, possibly of his spell, is defended solidly by Bharat into the onside. Another successful over for Roman Walker, another good over from Roman Walker. 6 overs, 3 for 12 for the former Glamorgan man. 24 overs gone. India 81 for 5. In a little bit of trouble. I mean, nothing like New Zealand in that tour game against Sussex. Got absolutely rolled in the second innings of that game. So these tour games, which can get a bit of a bad rap, have been proper workouts for the touring teams so far this year.
Abhi Sikandar to continue. Fango Fox, where has Walker been all season? He asked the question. Well, he might come into the reckoning for the trip down to the south coast. Sikandar is in to Virat Kohli, who is leaning carefully forward with an angled bat, playing it along the ground towards Bowley at a backward point. And there is no run. 21 deliveries faced now by Virat Kohli. He had a really severe examination at the hands of Krishna in particular, but he's battled his way through, as he tends to do. He's clearly intent on a long stay. Get through to lunch. Bat longer. He understands the importance of time at the crease. In goes Sekande and bowls to him. He's looking to turn one into the leg side. May have been a bit of inside edge, but may have been all pad. Umpire comes out, raises a right knee, touches it. So it was all pad, just dropped out towards short leg, and the leg by is jogged. Kohli called through by KS Bharat.
Have played together for Royal Challengers Bangalore. KS Bharat was at the top of the order for them before moving on. Has displaced Ridwan Saha, who was the sort of second choice keeper. Not quite as good a wicket keeper, but a better batter.
Sekande is in to Bharat, full outside off stump left. You can see Alfonso Thomas talking to Roman Walker, and it's sometimes quite interesting to watch. He's the new, I should add, Leicestershire bowling coach, and has made a real difference to the Foxes' bowling attack, certainly in white ball cricket, and talking technique with Walker. Walker sort of going through his action on the boundary down there. 6 overs, 3 maidens, 3 for 12 for him, so he's doing something right. Certainly has found movement today. Sekande is in, bowls to Bharat, who is driving flashily and missing flashily. It's a no ball actually, so had he edged it he would have had a life, but it was a slightly loose shot from KS Bharat.
I think given the flash, had he edged it, it would have gone clean over the slip cordon probably. That was the bat path there was pretty ugly from KS Bharat. It wasn't a shot with any kind of authority to it.
Not when 10 minutes to go until lunch, but may not be in his thoughts at the moment. Sekande turns. Longish run. Down the slope he comes and bowls on off stump. Bharat covers up. He's a busy sort of player. A lot of movement at the crease. Dropped it out into the offside. Turquoise heels on his cricket boots. Went through a sort of period in county cricket when a lot of players started sporting these sort of orange heels or turquoise heels, and in the end the ECB said out, look, from next season it's predominantly white please, and which was something of a relief in a way. They were getting increasingly flashy. In goes Sekande and bowls. Bharat is beaten on the outside by a good delivery from Abhi Sekande. Carries through at decent pace to Rishabh Pant behind the stumps.
KS Bharat has kept for India in a test match when he was called on as a sub-fielder. Of course, you can now have wicket keepers as substitute fielders can keep wicket, I should say, and kept very well on a pitch that was doing a lot against New Zealand. He's a very good wicket keeper. Doesn't have the first class runs of some of his other colleagues, in the averages in the high 30s in first class cricket.
Sekande is in, bowls to him. He makes a late decision to leave. Sekande's right hand started to go into the air, but it was a good decision from Bharat to leave that one outside off stump on the back foot. Goes through to Pant. It's the end of the over, 83 for 5. Substitute an issue in English domestic cricket at the moment. Batting substitutes even. People being retired out, and
yes, indeed,
there's
a rule that has always been there. As Will Davis comes back on from this end, the end where he did get the wicket of Shubman Gill, caught behind for 21, the first wicket to fall. A rule that's been exploited in T20 cricket by I think the Birmingham Bears have done it a couple of times. It is one of those things that I'm slightly surprised hasn't happened before, and I'm wondering what happens next with that. I'll come back to that after this ball from Davis bowling to Virat Kohli, who punches this very pleasantly off the back foot, but no real power, and just eases to Pujara cover. It's going to be one of those things that either becomes commonplace-ish or gets banned. And I'm not particularly bothered which happens, frankly. I think if it's in the regulations and you can try and get an advantage from it, why not try it? As fine margins and all that. An appeal from Davis, but that was going down leg, even though we aren't quite behind the bowler's arm. We're kind of at mid-off when the bowling's from this end to the right-hander. Could see that was angling down leg. There is no run.
There was a game on telly last night between Northampton and Birmingham, and Ricardo Vasconcelos made the point that if you do it, you should lose a ball at least, of your 20 overs, which could be key.
Perhaps. Would that be a deterrent? Probably. As Davis is in. That's nicely played by Kohli, getting forward to it, and it's half fielded by Evans at backward point. He's been very busy this morning, diving away to his right and to his left that time, and Kohli comes through for the single. And Bharat gets tagged along slightly reluctantly.
On the basis that if there was a dismissal, then you would lose the ball anyway. So there is a certain logic to that, at least.
Davis in fourth ball of the over to Bharat, yet to score from his 8 deliveries. Pushes this to mid-on. That's a very tight single. Bowley was in quite quickly but couldn't pick it up cleanly, and that's a very busy, I say again, wicket-keepery single to mid-on. It's rare that you see a wicket-keeper not looking very busy and very purposeful at the crease. They tend not to be the calmest characters at the crease. Ben Foakes is very much an exception to that rule. As Kohli now faces up to Davis, and that keeps low, a little bit like the delivery that got Ravindra Jadeja. He defends this Kohli into the offside, watches it quite hawkishly onto the middle of that bat.
Yeah, I was going to say, batters sometimes exaggerate how low it was, but it did not creep, but it was probably only a foot or so off the ground.
From back of a length. Last ball of the 7th over from Davis, his second spell. He's into Virat Kohli, and this one bounces from pretty much the same place where that one that kept low pitched through to Rishabh Pant, takes it at about chest or shoulder height. Decent over come back from Davis, 85 for 5 India after 26.
2 more overs perhaps before lunch here at the Uptonsteel County Ground, and you would say it's been Leicestershire stroke India's morning with catches for Pant behind the stumps and a wicket for Krishna. Really good spell, and I think that's what India will get out of this morning so far, that is. The impressive work of Krishna. In comes Abhi Sikande, bowls to Bharat, who's on the back foot, turning it out into the offside, seeing that Evans to cover has to bounce across to his left of field, calls Kohli through for, in the end, a fairly comfortable single. He moves on to 2, 86 for 5. Kids start to leave the family stand over there. Hopefully got some lunch organised.
I think they're being sent through in groups. That's not so as to overwhelm the catering staff with a gaggle of school children.
Sikande is in, bowls to Kohli down the leg side. Again, it takes off a little bit, but nicely taken by Pant, almost running to his left, round about shoulder height to his left. He too will have gained the benefit of these 2 hours behind the stumps with the gauntlets on. Sam Bates, we are told, will take over from him after lunch.
Do you think they'll swap session by session?
I have no idea. I think that they may not have taken that decision as yet, but it's going to be interesting one way or another. Sikande is in and bowls outside off stump. Kohli reaches for a wide one, tries to square drive it back a long way from the body, doesn't get anything on it, hits almost over the top of it, and it bounces again on its way through to Pant, who takes it again round about face high, slightly to his right, and it's constant flow of chatter from Pant. When you just look at those, the wicketkeeper and the slips are always looking at him grinning, and he's just talking all the time to them.
He's one of the great characters of modern cricket, Rishabh Pant.
Sikande is in and bowling again full, this time straighter, and it's clipped by Kohli, but only as far as mid-on. Not stopped cleanly there, but stopped. That was the main thing.
It's quite instructive looking at the breakdown of the maidens. Jasprit Bumrah and Will Davis have bowled 12 overs between them, 11 in that first spell, no maidens. Prashid Krishna and Roman Walker have bowled 12 between them, 5 maidens. And I think that gives you a sense that the batting in the second hour was considerably harder than the batting in the first hour.
Sekhande in. Bowls. Again, full and straight. Waiting for it in the crease is Kohli, working it back past the bowler, but only as far as Cheteshwar Pujara, moving across to his right at mid-off to make the stop. Looks business-like, Kohli, doesn't he? Looks like he's there for, I'm here for a reason. I'm here to bat, I'm here to occupy time, I'm here to get my eye in, and that is what I'm going to do. 86 for 5 as he faces up to Sekhande, who is in and bowls to him. He leaves on length. It does come back, passes above off stump, a good couple of inches above off stump, just not quite over the top of off stump to the side of it as well, but there was a little bit of movement there for Sekhande. Kohli judged it to perfection. End of the over. 86 for 5. Spectators are permitted to leave the ground during the interval, but you must obtain a pass out from the gate and present your original match ticket upon re-entry.
This is going to be the last over before lunch on day one of this tour game. Will Davis is going to bowl it, so no use for the spinner Nat Bowley thus yet. Davis is in. This one rises from a length. Bharat leaves it through to his senior wicket-keeping colleague Rishabh Pant behind the stumps, and there is no run. Davis bowling 5 overs in his 6 overs rather in his first spell. We'll get 2 in this, his second, the only bowler called back into the attack. I wonder how much input the India players are having in the decisions of who's bowling here. This is defended solidly enough by Bharat back to the bowler, and there is no run. Field has been pretty much the same throughout this game. 3 slips. 3 offside, 3 in the. Occasionally there's only button from cover.
We are going to do a BBC radio lesson as lunch approaching.
Davis in third of the over, stop going through to keeper. There is no run. Has only scored the 2, both in hurried singles, quick singles. The onside Virat Kohli 9 of 32. Yeah. Scoring became a lot less fluent once Rohit, Sharma and Shubman. I think Gill looked pretty good for the first 27 balls until he got out off the 28th. Sharma a bit more discomfort. By boom, as this is push like a little bit squared up in defence. Ended up with both feet pointing down the wicket and quite check. But got the middle of the bat on it up to the lanky figure of Nat Bowley at mid-on. There is run. Wouldn't imagine that there'll be any adventure Bharat in the last test. David does 29 or some clap from Sekhande at wicket. Comes Davis. This defended again by Bharat. He's still a little bit more